Today I have with me Marla Hall, who has been a member of Primal Trust for about a year now. Is that right?
Yeah.
She's went through both level 1 and level 2, and she has had some amazing healing. I know you've been dealing with things like chronic fatigue, virus, fibromyalgia, colonic inertia. Probably I'm missing some things, but she's going to share with us how Primal Trust has been helping her heal from all sorts of things and getting her life back. She's got a really great story. So welcome, Marla,
Thank
and
you.
thank you for joining us. Could you tell the listeners what it was that you've been dealing with, when your symptoms began, what they were, a little bit about your journey, and then eventually how you got here?
Yes, absolutely. So in 2012, I had to have a partial hysterectomy. Um, I grew up very healthy. My mom, my grandma, they were like very organic before the word was even invented. And just like I wasn't allowed to have soda, just always grew up really healthy, eating healthy foods. And I just took on a bunch of stress. I had a partial hysterectomy. And then in 2014, I had an ovarian torsion and I had to have a full hysterectomy. And so when I had that, it sent me into full menopause and I was 38 years old. And so I went to my gynecologist. She put me on, she was like, you're going to have to get on estrogen. I'm like, nope, I can do this all natural. I got, I always want to do everything all natural. And I was just woke up in sweat and crying. And so it was hard being 38 and going through menopause, and my girlfriends had no idea, how to help me. Then, so they were kind of giving me all these, testosterone and estrogen and kind of doing all these tests on me and giving me a lot and then dropping me down. And then all of a sudden I had a lot of neck pain in 2018. I was going around to different doctors. Long story short, I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. And so they said, okay, you're going to have your thyroid out. I'm like, what is going on? Like, I have no idea. I'm doing everything healthy. I work out. I eat healthy food. I don't understand. And so I had the surgery, and my surgeon at the time, she said, you are going to have your thyroid is like the engine to your body. You are going to have a lot of autoimmune things. I'm like, I don't even know what autoimmune stuff is, so whatever. And so I just could not recover. I was so sick. I started having insomnia. I started having brain fog. I went to doctor after doctor. That's when I started like, okay, I'm just going to keep going to doctors. Um I was getting, try this medicine and try that medicine. And I was pretty resistant to getting on medication just because of the way I was raised. I was like, there's got to be a better way. But I was hyper vigilant. I mean, I could not get out of bed. I would try to go to the store and I would start crying. I couldn't go through the car. I tried to go through the car wash. My heart started racing. I'm like, who am I? Like, what is going on? And I never knew about functional medicine. One of my friends said, you should look into a functional doctor. And so I did. She was with Parsley Health. That was in 2019. And even with that, I was always like, well, what's the pill? What's the like, I need to fix this. And there has to be an easy way. And I started becoming obsessed with what I ate. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to go out to restaurants. I'm only going to drink water. I would pack my food. I wouldn't eat out anywhere unless I cooked it. And it was just so stressful. I stopped doing things. I couldn't fathom being around people. I would just start crying. And I just was so desperate. And I, like I said, I kept getting all these autoimmune things. I would go to I was still going to doctors, but I was seeing my functional medicine doctor, and she was going through everything, a detox, a parasite cleanse. We tried everything. We even tried it was called the elemental diet, where I did not eat for 3 weeks. It was the hardest thing I ever did. I went in the entire 3 weeks. I did not deter off of that. I stuck to it. I would still in the meantime cook for my family, and I'm like, okay. And I got really, I came out of that feeling really great. And then it started happening again, like the fear and the obsession with food and my health. And then I got colonic inertia, and they tried everything. They tried a prescription. They tried, okay, eat an all fiber diet. And I was so miserable. And the surgeon was like, okay, you're going to have a colectomy. And I'm like, what's that? We're going to remove 80% of your colon. And I'm like, I cannot fathom going through another surgery. And I was honestly praying, like, I was at the end of myself. I was just crying, like, God, I don't know what to do. And it was just like God's intervention, because my functional doctor, she goes, okay, I have one more thing. Have you ever heard of Primal Trust? I'm like, no, what's that? And she said, well, have you ever done brain retraining or nervous system regulation? I'm like, no. And you know, I always listen to her because she's always helped me. And she's like, I think that you should really try this. And I'm just like, honestly, I was like, this is so stupid. I'm like, brain retraining, like, do you know how sick I am? Do you know what's going on? I'm like, there has to be something else. This is not going to work. This is not going to work. And I'm going to do it just to prove you wrong. Was basically I was like, okay, sure, I'll do it. Just like a teenager throwing a temper tantrum. I'm like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to prove you wrong. And even, so I started your program last October, and little by little, I miraculously started coming back into myself. And it, the thing about the program is, and especially for us who suffer with long-term illnesses or autoimmune diseases, you want a quick fix. You just want to be like, okay, I just want the pill, I want the food, I want the program, I just want it to be quick. And it's not, but the journey is worth it. I am a testimony that, God definitely knew I needed Primal Trust. I had a majorly dysfunctional nervous system, unregulated nervous system. Wow. And I had no idea how much until I did your program.
Wow. That is really intense. Like, that's a lot of medical conditions. And I think it would have beaten most people down to go through that much stuff, to be told you're at the point where you have to get your colon removed, or 80%. So tell us about what symptoms started to shift, specifically what started to get better as you did nervous system regulation and brain retraining.
My brain fog went away. My colon just started working. Honestly, that was the thing. I got off all my medication. Like, I just started I was like, this is a miracle. Like, they literally tried everything. I was going to acupuncturists. I was getting belly massages. I was doing like an all fiber. And when I started Primal Trust, it was just like my nervous system calmed down for the first time. And I started sleeping at night. That was another miracle that I could not believe it, because I tried everything. I had insomnia so bad. And to this day, I only wake up one time at night. It's amazing. And so in August was a huge step too. I stopped parsley health. I stopped seeing my functional doctor. And I was like, it's bittersweet because you walked me through some hard times, and, and now Primal Trust is just, it's a new way of life for me. It has opened my eyes to how much I was in my head all the time and living a life out of fear and listening to the doctors. And then I would already start thinking, okay, I'm going to get that. Like, I'm going to have that. That day the surgeon told me, like, you're going to have autoimmune things. I think that was programmed into my head.
That is, when you had said that, he said that, I kind of cringed. Like when I hear the medical professionals will give a prognosis or a prediction, they don't realize the power that they have in those suggestive statements. What do you think was the setup to cause you to kind of have that cascade? Like, what was the kind of person that how was it that you were living that you think created a setup for this whole thing to happen? Or do you find that there was some way about how you were living that may have caused your system to be more susceptible to these things?
I think because I started holding all my stress, and you just get to a certain point where you're not releasing it and it's stored up and it's not being used for good energy. And it's like your body is screaming, help me, stop, 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 calm down. And it was just like I just think it was my body just telling me, like, stop the crazy diets and stop the 100 supplements that you're doing, and stop ruminating and Googling and going to every doctor within a 50-mile radius, and listen to your body.
And what is your relationship like with your body now?
Oh my gosh. Primal Trust has done so many things for me. My husband has said, like, you are a different person. You have a peace of mind now, where I was always like, what if we do this? And what's going to happen if we go here? And what's going to happen if I eat this? And so my relationship with him has changed. My relationship with my kids, and just with people in general, Primal Trust taught me what you have taught me, is some of the biggest things is stop judging and blaming and being angry with everyone. And that means doctors too. Because when we do that, we become a victim. And so when I'm a victim, I'm not going to have any victory in my life, because I'm always a victim. Well, that person did that, and it's that person's fault. And it kept me so disconnected from myself, from love. Primal Trust has taught me, like, just to let love, anchor you and just let it flow. And it is like an energy. Yeah, you're going to still have people that don't like you, and you're going to have, you're going to have to set boundaries, but to let that love flow and to come from a place of trust and be connected to my body, and not to be in protection mode, like that person's going to do this. So, and I didn't realize how contracted I was. The other thing I love about Primal Trust is just a multi-dimensional, program where it has taught me to feel again. I was so numb. I numbed myself out. I'm so glad that I don't have, I didn't get on like drugs or alcohol, because I could see how that people can do that. I was so down. And Primal Trust, I can feel, I'm feeling emotions now. I start crying. I'm like, hey, I just started crying for no reason, and that's okay, because we have all these programs. Were previously programmed generationally. We are programmed by society, and it takes years to come out of those programs, and patterns that you don't even realize. I just going through the motions and doing everything unconsciously. Primal Trust has taught me to make a choice from my adult main personality, from a healthy place. You always say in your program, you can choose a higher and better way. And we don't realize, like we do. I'm like, oh, wow, I can choose that. I don't have to do that. I stopped body checking. Coming into my thoughts now, I'm like, okay, I'm body checking again. Primal Trust has taught me, like, I don't make choices. I question things now with the inquiry process. I don't make choices, or I try not to. I mean, I'm still fallible for sure, and I'm still learning and going through level 3 with Primal Trust, but just it teaches me to not make choices out of protection, out of fear, out of control. I did not realize until doing this program how controlling I am. And I have went to people, it has humbled me, because I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't see I was doing that. It has opened my eyes to my own toxic patterns that I was teaching my children. And so Primal Trust also has taught me to look through a lens of compassion. So before I was like, oh, why did that person do that? I can't believe that person did that. And why isn't that guy going, we have all these things that we say, and we're so negative, we don't even realize it. And there are so many people, because now I realize how dysregulated my nervous system was. There's other people like that. There's other people that are going through trauma. So instead of viewing them as like an enemy to me, I'm like, they just have a dysregulated nervous system.
Wow.
And I'm going to have compassion for them. And it's something I did not have. I was so judgmental. I was so mean. I was so hateful. And the program has taught me kindness and love and compassion, not only for other people, but for myself. We like to, what Primal Trust has opened my eyes to is we like to blame other people, but honestly, we are our own worst enemy. I had those thoughts just continuing to run in my mind, and I would have conversations with myself all day long, and I would hold all this inside of me and not let it out. I would be, oh, well, I don't want to feel fear. I don't want to feel sadness. And Primal Trust has taught me that I can feel that and be okay and look at it through a different lens, but it's okay to feel like that. Because I think our society teaches, like, it's not okay to feel, it's not okay to cry, it's not okay to fear, it's not we're gonna experience those things. Like I said, it's a journey, but to know that I have a choice in these things, and I can choose a higher and better way to get my needs met. I was manipulating people to get my needs met. I was controlling people to get my needs met. I was throwing tantrums to get my needs met. And I don't have to do that. And it has set me free.
That is so beautiful. And I appreciate how vulnerable to admit that publicly, that the world can hear you say those things. Not many people can do that, to admit, I was manipulating, I was doing these things, and now I'm taking this responsibility. I mean, this is why I think your colon is functioning. This is why you're healing, because you have aligned with truth and with love in such a radical way.
Yes, loving myself. And I didn't even realize that I didn't love myself. I mean, doing awareness, and doing these practices and doing this homework, it's not for the faint of heart, but it is. I know if I can do it, anyone can do it. It's either that or you're going to spend the rest of your life trying to fix and figure out. And it's exhausting. It's never going to work. This program works. I thought I would be seeing my functional doctor for the rest of my life. I can't believe I ended the program. I mean, I'm just like, this is amazing. And so learning to love myself and being able to communicate, what you also teach is to be able to communicate in a healthy way to other people. I need some rest. And I would like to do that, but just not right now. I just need some time alone and just speaking my boundaries freely and deciding who I am again, because my identity was being sick. So having this new identity of being free and peaceful and loving and compassionate, and then finding out what my values are, it's so rewarding. And just breaking, another thing that Primal Trust has taught is breaking allegiance with the patterns and the stories that are running. Like, okay, that's a thought. That's not serving me. So we're just going to cancel that out.
That's amazing. And for people who are listening, they're probably like, well, what is your practices like now? Like, what do you do now to upkeep this awareness? Is there an upkeep? Is there anything you're doing to continue with your healing?
Yes, for sure. So like I said, I'm a year into it. I've gone through level 1 and level 2 of the program. I'm currently going through level 3. Another funny thing that I said is, besides like this program is stupid, I'm not doing it, is I said, I'm not doing support groups. Like, I'm not going to be in a support group. I'm in this alone, and I don't really want to be with these other people. And I don't really want to, this is dumb. So I'm never going to join. I'm in 3 support groups. In Primal Trust community groups, and they are so helpful. So I'm doing that with other people in the community, and I cannot stress how helpful that is to be able to go through the homework, because there is homework. So if you want to get better, how important is it to you? Because you can't just, it's not a band-aid, it's not a quick fix. You have to go through the process. As you say, the only way through is through. And part of the journey is doing the homework. That's where you start unpeeling the layers. And I would say to anyone who is questioning it, that there's always a class. I still do ABCs. I think the biggest thing for me is the awareness. Okay, I'm aware I'm having this thought. I'm aware I'm rushing right now. I'm aware that I'm yelling and I really don't need to yell. And so doing the somatics, there's always a class going on. There's groups that you can do the homework together, and that's awesome because we can support each other. We encourage each other to stay with it. If you're like, we all still have bad days. I have bad days, and those are the days where the Primal Trust community is like, don't quit. Like, you got this. We're going to do this. We're going to support each other through this. And taking time to breathe, taking time to do the attunements. I spend an hour a day doing the work that Primal Trust has taught me, whether it be somatics, whether it be attunements, ABCs, the vagal toning. There's so many things that I do, not because I have to, but because it is nourishing to me. It's reviving to me, and it helps me to get through my day without coming unglued. It helps me to set the tone for the day of, okay, you know, I'm going to think positively. And I didn't realize until I did this program how negative I was thinking and what that was doing to my system as a whole. And just that, I think of Primal Trust as, you know, you and the other mentors have said that the triggers are not going to go away. There's still going to be boulders in life, but the program teaches you how to deal with those in a higher and better way, instead of throwing tantrums or staying in your bed all day, or, you know, staying in your room closed up out of fear, having unhealthy relationships because of control issues. I mean, I had never dreamed when my functional doctor told me about Primal Trust, like how many layers it goes into. And it is just making me a better person. I know my friends and family are like, you are so different than you were.
That is so cool. What you've shared a lot, but what functional things are you able to do now that you couldn't do a year ago? Like, what is your life like now that's different from a year ago?
So I'm able to go out with friends again. I'm able to have people over for dinner. We go out to restaurants and I'm able to eat food. That was another thing. I'm like, I'm not eating gluten. I'm not eating gluten. And a lot of these things were honestly in my head. I started doing the ABCs around food, and I'm like, you know, I still like to eat healthy because it just makes me feel good overall. But, you know, I have, like, we can go out on the weekends and I can have a pizza and I'm fine. Like, I can treat myself every now to, because I was like, I'm not having dairy, like I'm gonna die. And I can have a milkshake, and I'm like, nothing. And I'm telling people, like, there's no pill that I'm taking that's like, it's Primal Trust, and rewiring my brain to, like, no, it's okay. I'm safe. And I am, you know, going to my son's games. I went to all of his football games this year. That just makes me want to cry to think about that. And just living life. My husband and I recently moved out to the country. We're doing a bunch of projects. And our son is being able to be included. And I'm traveling. I went to go visit my other son who lives 3 hours away. I would have never gotten in the car by myself and driven 3 hours there and 3 hours back. I did that because it's something that I chose to do. Again, ABC, choose. I want to choose this. I want to go see my son, and I can. I'm capable. And it was so funny because when I went to go see him, everyone's like, are you sure you can do this? Are you sure you're okay? I'm like, yes. And so I'm living. I'm not so obsessed about foods and health and supplements. I I'm just, I feel like I'm just transformed. And I feel like, you know, I guess for anyone who's doubting Primal Trust, I think of it, my husband and I, we fix up houses and then we flip them and we sell them. And so we do a lot of remodeling, and I think about it as like remodeling a house. You know, it takes time, and you have different rooms you have to go in. Like, this is not just, okay, I'm going to spend 1 month and I'm good. No, I've been in this a year, and it's an enjoyment, quite honestly, because you're learning more about yourself. in the beginning, it was like, I just want the tools to fix me. And it's like, no, I'm learning so much about myself. And you have to come from a place of humility, because it's going to bring up some ugly stuff that we all do unconsciously. I was doing a lot of things unconsciously that I had no idea. But I think about as remodeling a house, it takes time. There's going to be some roadblocks. There's going to be some plumbing issues. There's going to be but once you're done, oh my gosh, that house is beautiful.
That's amazing. And to be able to avoid getting 80% of your colon removed and,
Yes.
the
I
other things.
think, yes, I thank God I didn't do that. I mean, it was so funny because after I started your program, I'm just like, thanking God I did not have that. And I had previously joined like a Facebook group to learn about it. And everyone's like, I'm just inside and I can't do this and I can't do that. And like, I'm just like, I'm so thankful. And that's another thing that Primal Trust is like, trust your own, God has given us this ability to self-heal, as you say, like we can. And I understand, like, I'm not anti-doctor, but the first thing that you hear, like, take this drug, have this surgery, I would say put a pause on that. Try Primal Trust, try just being in the moment and being present and feeling your heartbeat and feeling your emotions and looking outside at nature. I used to sit in the car and just scroll as I would wait for my husband. And now I sit in the car and I look at the shape and the color of the leaves. That's another thing Primal Trust has taught me, like, just like orient yourself. It's just a beautiful process. And I love that my kids, I think a lot of kids now see their parents just, so that's what they do, just scroll, scroll, scroll. And it's not healthy. It doesn't elevate me emotionally. And I love what Primal Trust has taught me about being present, being in the moment, and just looking around at what's around me and seeing the beauty in it.
Thank you. It's just, there's so many beautiful things that you've said, and you truly are an example of someone who's transformed how they are as a person, not just how your digestive system is working or your energy level or, the symptoms. I can feel from your words that almost like you have had a rebirth and awareness, and it's amazing. It's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing this. I think this will be so inspiring for so many people who especially have been through so much, like surgeries. It's really hard after a while when you've had lots, intense surgeries and things just seem to be going downhill, to believe that something like mind body work, nervous system work can pull you back out of that. So I'd love for you to end the interview with a closing. I mean, you've given so much wisdom, a closing word of wisdom, a closing word of hope for those who are listening and resonate with your story.
Um, you know, Primal Trust helps you to come back in to your body, and it helps you come back into life. And I was so negative. I thought there's nothing that can help me. I'm going to be sick the rest of my life. And it was my own self. Like I said, I was my own worst enemy, speaking negative thoughts. And once you come into awareness of your brain state and your body state, your nervous system starts calming down. I was literally in pain every single day. I can go out and do projects. I can go exercise. I can do things without being in excruciating pain. And it was, if someone would have told me, oh, you're going to get better by nervous system regulation and brain retraining, I would have just laughed so hard. But honestly, looking back at the last 10 years, I would say that this is the one thing that has changed everything for me. My own health, just automatically these things are going away. And if you have setbacks, that's okay. We all have bad days. Like we all will have a day where we feel lethargic or whatever, but for the most part, I'm living my life because I'm choosing to. And I'm choosing to think more positively. And I'm not going to choose to ruminate on a symptom or, um, you know, how something feels in my body. I don't ignore it, but I also don't let it control me anymore. And just you know, the healing that comes from coming into who you truly are and choosing and knowing your boundaries, and it's just the rewards never stop. I would say also encourage people to I wanted to isolate myself doing these community groups. There's journey groups, there's classes. Like I think about how much money I spent going to doctor and supplement to supplement and buying this food and this tincture and this. And it's like Primal Trust, it's like every day it has something that you can do, whether you're by yourself or whether you're with somebody else. And the community has been so supportive, so compassionate. I have met some great people and heard some great stories. And I am so grateful to God for Primal Trust. I'm so grateful that I can also, you and the mentors are so relatable. I think a lot of programs, like I said, I've never even heard of brain retraining, but a lot of programs have like a messiah complex where you think you're like, you know, superhuman, and you tell stories where people can relate to you and you're still vulnerable, that you still tell us stories of what's going on and how you get through it. And just to know that it's a process. We're never going to arrive. Like, don't have that thing of, I'm going to have it all together and everything's going to go away. But it helps you to think more positively and make better decisions for yourself. And in return, it's a reward for all those who are around you.
That's so beautiful. Thank you so much, Marla. Thank you for sharing.
Thank
And
you.
I look forward to hearing what you're up to a year from now and how you continue to get your freedom back as you align with this truth of who you are. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.